Hey friends, it's John Klein III with episode 22 of Shadow and Flame with Magic, the podcast. And today we're going to review Avengers 1998's volume 1998 issue 10, sometimes referred to as volume 3, but I think it's a safer play by the numbers. So let's get to it. And once again, thank you so much to friend of the show, Francisco, for providing the theme song to the podcast. Really appreciate it. And now this is probably my favorite issue of Avengers ever, besides JLA Avengers. Is written by my all-time favorite Avengers writer, Kurt Busiek. And it's just a fun anniversary issue, but we'll get to it. It's New York City salutes Earth's mightiest heroes, Avengers, the anniversary celebration. Since this is a 1998 comic, Marvel provided a fun gatefold comic, which I remember just loving back in 98, which I would have been a sophomore. And so it was their attempt to be super user-friendly. This is a year after Heroes Return. So like 2 years after Onslaught, when we lost the Avengers, and then Image, Jim Lee, and Rob Liefeld was able to pretty much rewrite, history or origins for the Avengers, Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, and the Fantastic Four. So here's what the gatefold says. Avengers, and there came a day unlike any other, when Earth's mightiest heroes found themselves united against a common threat. On that day, the Avengers are born, to fight the foes no single superhero could withstand. Though the years their roster was prospered, changed many times, but their glory was never been denied. Heed the call, then, for now the Avengers assemble. Captain America, Steve Rogers, the living legend of World War II and one of the world's most revered and respected superheroes. And nerdy me back in 98, like there was a moment when I started a first word document, or was it called first choice? And it was all blue and it was like yellow text, and I'm surprised I used it at all. But I legit remember writing down like all these character profiles, and they would change every so often. Like if it was Captain America, his own title, it probably was like a couple more sentences on that. But since it's Avengers, everyone gets one sentence. Iron Man, wealthy, industrious Tony Stark, who donned a sophisticated suit of armor of his own design to protect mankind. Thor, the legendary Asgardian thunder god who has adopted Earth as his home and considers himself to be the protector of the entire planet and its people. Scarlet Witch, Wanda Maximoff, a mutant with a probability-altering hex power who has user abilities for both evil and good over time. Vision, Symphozoid, created by the robotic supervillain Ultron, but who has come to appreciate and emulate humanity during his time with the Avengers. With his Symphozoid body undergoing repairs, the Vision can now only manifest himself as a hologram within the confines of Avengers Mansion. Wonder Man, Simon Willems. It's a little mean that he's this high up in the character list as he's not a member at the time. Simon Willems, being composed purely of ionic energy. If you're a fan of Uncanny X-Cast, ionic means something completely different. With superhuman strength and endurance, no longer among the living, his essence hovers around the Scarlet Witch. Justice and Firestar, former New Mutants, who now serve as Avengers with the power of telekinesis and control of microwave energies, respectively. Giant Man and the Wasp. Henry Pym and Janet Van Dyne, founding Avengers, both of whom possess the power to alter their size. Him big and small, her small. And I guess this would be a good time to mention how this is our second episode celebrating Ant-Man month, and one of the first of two proper spotlights on Ant-Man. But as an X-Men fan, I don't have that many Ant-Man appearances in my collection that I could easily find. So we have this good one, the next good one, and then we're not going to end on a high note. But, I mean, it's going to be a pretty cool issue. But as far as Ant-Man presents, I'm not so sure. And I should have mentioned, I was going to wait until we got to the title page. But then I recall we got some more work ahead of us before the title. And so this is Kurt Busiek, and since this is the first 12 issues, or within the first 12 issues, the art is provided by legend George Perez and inks by Alve. And so there's a lot of group shots. The cover is amazing. This is also the time when Kurt Busiek was writing Iron Man, and Cap was written by Mark Waid, I believe, at this time. And Thor was by Dan Jurgens, I want to say, with John Romita Jr. art. Which was when the time I was having probably the biggest Avengers fan. And this issue, now we're on the, came out in November of 1998. It would have cost to $199, nope. I was going to say pennies, but $1.99 and $2.80 in Canada. And so the issue starts, and so the whole concept is that this is Avengers Day. And so there's a lot of fun news coverage. So there we go. With Megan McLaren for Channel 3 reporting from Fifth Avenue. New Yorkers have a reputation as a sour, cynical lot, and not today. And the reason why is simple. It is Avengers Day. Different from Dymatics Avengers game that also starts with an Avengers Day. And the city's so glad to have its heroes back after losing them for months that this year's anniversary of the team's founding is being celebrated with an Avengers Day parade. We see some ladies all dressed in various superhero outfits. As the festivities begin, let's hear from some of the onlookers. I came all the way from Dola for this, just the chance to see them. Any of them. Cap, Iron Man, heck, even Death Cry'd be fine. And this is written by Kurt Busiek, by far the greatest Avengers writer. And so this is just full of tiny details that I'm sure if someone took an annotation, this would make for such a fun read. And then paired with George Perez, who is just an amazing artist and would just fill up every panel with just details upon details. I want my son to see that there are heroes in the world, something to aspire to. I'd be happier, of course, if I could show him the Panther, Photon, or the Falcon. But whether watchers are hoping to see any Avenger or their particular favorites, everyone's definitely excited. And with that, let's go to our reviewing stand and our hosts. Hi folks, I'm the Stunt Master, and with me is Chili Storm, former supermodel and longtime star of TV's Secret Hospital. Hey, not that long time. Sorry, Chili, it just seems that every year you're nominated for a Daytime Emmy and, well, how many times has it been? 10, and no, I haven't won one yet. You're all over the place, Stuntman, with your cycle shows and cable reruns of your old series. Hey now, not that old, but since you mention it, the Stuntmaster Psycho Extravaganza will be coming to Meadowlands this. Whoa, hold on, Stunt. I don't mean to interrupt, but you look to the left. And we get a gorgeous double-page splash of the Avengers on top of a float with Captain America up top, Iron Man, Thor, Giant Man, Wasp, human size, because Giant Man's clearly, he's showing up. Firestar in a costume I don't really love, or it'd be better if it didn't have the red around the neck all the way down to her navel, which is essentially a Firestar. Like, if that was just yellow, maybe, but who am I to criticize George Perez? And then Justice. Here they come, a Stanley presentation. Kurt Busiek, Invincible writer. George Perez, living legend. Moment of silence. Alve inks. Tom Smith colors. Rich VLL's Dave letters. I don't know what it's Rich Dave's, but then VCC's Rich Dave on letters, I think. Tom Brever, editor, who earns his position this issue as there's going to be lots of footnotes because this is very user friendly, but only in that you're going to get the history explained to you 10 issues in. And then Bob Harris, Prince of Power. 35 years ago, Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, and Dick Ayers brought us the first issue of The Mighty Avengers and began a rich and storied tradition, the heroic adventure. Today, that tradition continues as you mark the occasion of a little pomp and pageantry, is the issue name. I think I just saw Jack Kirby in the audience, but holding an Avengers Forever, which is fun, as Busiek and Carlos Porcello will give us Avengers Forever. Actually, I think there's a lot of fun foreshadowing of future stories. And the city council in front of the float, and they sure look happy too. And then we catch up with Spider-Man in the audience, or swinging by. I could be down there since I was one of them for a little while, but with the Parker luck, something will go horribly wrong, and we'll end up tarred and feathered by the crowd. So have a happy, guys. Which something does go horribly wrong, but Spider-Man's not around to help. You've earned it. And he swings away, and Cap's having a chat with Iron Man. This is a little uncomfortable, Iron Man. And we sort of deal with what Grant Morrison had to deal with his JLA, which I want to say is running around the same time. But, it's a lot of, you have very popular characters with their own solo books, and then Busiek's doing a wonderful job of catching up with what their side stories are going on, and which is what makes Avengers such a great title, is that you have mainstays, but then you also have like Avengers' own title characters who, this is where all their character work happens, but then you see what other characters look like in a team environment. This is a little uncomfortable, Iron Man. After all, the Cap mania I've lived through recently and the trouble it caused in Captain America 5 through 7, Tom. But should you even be here considering your injuries suffered in Iron Man 8 through 10, Tom? So I guess some titles started out later than others, because I want to say Thor was late with his number 1. I'll be fine, Cap. It's just a parade. With all the world's been through recently, I don't know that it isn't more for them than us. And then Giant Man turns to Vision, who's a hologram. How's the projector working out, Vision? It functions well, Iron Man, allowing my holographic form to leave the mansion while my body continues its self-repair. I note you've changed your costume to a variant of your Goliath design, just as the previous one echoed your Ant-Man garb. But you never use elements from your Yellow Jacket design, which I guess is Busiek's way of addressing the Yellow Jacket of it all. There's a reason for that, Vision. I was mentally ill when I created Yellow Jacket, and it was in that suit that I hit Jan, struck my wife. She may have forgiven that, but I haven't. Yellow Jacket is dead. I want him to stay buried. Nice emphasis on the word dead, getting us ready for what may come. Speaking of Wasp, she turns to Firestar and Justice. Justice, Firestar! Which I always lead with Firestar, but that's just the X-fan in me. You're full Avengers now, so how do you like it? It's amazing, Wasp. I mean, Jan. Oh yeah, because Justice is very starstruck with being an Avenger. I mean, I'm proud to have been one of the new Warriors, and I think we accomplished a lot of good, but this is so overstated, maybe? And what about you, Firestar? It's okay, I guess. It's fine. We have an ad here for Oreo O's. It's a good time to be a kid. It's a bad time to be a cow. I want to say that cereal is fine. And Giant Man leans in over to Firestar. Say, Firestar, Wanda told me about your little problem. How your power endangers your health at high risk. At high levels. If you like, I could run some tests and see what I can do. Yes, I like that. Great, we'll start in a day or two then. Like, why not, like, once we get home? Like, what's he got going on? Full-time scientist or full-time Avenger, part-time scientist. Well, actually, I guess he's a reserve member, so maybe that's why he's... But it's not like he has anything going on, in a ways. And Firestar thinks to herself, my little problem, maybe to him, but to me it's been terrifying. If the Avengers can fix it... And I want to say this is during the time where her power might be causing her cancer even, or maybe this is leading up to that. Breville. Then Thor's thinking to himself, and this is during the time when Thor, his font is very Asgardian. The mortals do applaud most fulsomely, and once Thor have been accepted, it has his due. But today I do walk among the mortals as Jake Olsen, an EMT, and it is most unlike my earlier human guise, and most unsettling. Truly, much hath changed since the Avengers began. And then we get back to Stunt and Chili. The menace of the self-styled god of evil, Loki. That's what brought the Avengers scare years ago. That's when Iron Man, Thor, the Hulk, Wasp, and Ant-Man first came together. In Volume 1, Issue 1. And they stayed together, even when the epic battle was completed. And it was only weeks after that Captain America, famed hero of World War II, was found and revived. And joined this noble band. In Issue 4. Cap is thought to many by the last of the original Avengers, making the Scarlet Witch, Quicksilver, and Hawkeye trio heroes under Cap's command after the other founders left. The first major roster change for the group. The first, perhaps. Volume 1, Issue 16. Classics all, Tom. But by no means the last. Over the years, the Avengers have counted among their number heroes from all walks of life, from the girl next door to monarchs of other lands, and even Star Wars from the future or from outer space. And through it all, the team has truly earned the name Earth's Mightiest Heroes. And we get an amazing one-page splash of just Perez and Vase. Just amazing... And Joey Avengers was famous for this too, for just like, here's the entire history of the roster. And I'm going to try to do my best here. So there's Sandman, Falcon, Thunderstrike, Mantis, Reed Richards in a brown leather vest, War Machine, Mockingbird, Beast, upside down, Iceman, Hellcat, the Iron Man lady with the mask. Madam Mask, right? Yeah. Thing. Stingray. D-Man. She-Hulk. Hercules. Justice. Swordsman. Hellcat. I think I already named her. Moondragon. Thanos' brother. Firefox? No, Silver Fox. Something Fox. Jocasta. Namor's wife, Marina, Black Panther, not Bucky Barnes, Rick Jones, Vision, Crystal, Tigra, Kesar, Swordsman, Dr. Druid, Moon Knight, Namor, Spider-Woman, the Julia Carpenter one, Firestar, Wonder Man in his classic green costume, Machine Man, Captain Marvel, right next to Warbird, Carol Danvers, the female lady, or the female lady Yellow Jacket, Human Torch, Black Knight, and Photon, of course, and a lady Firebrand, maybe some electric dude. And now I'm just going to be... Did I say Iceman? I should have. Friend of the show, Greg, will want me to say Dark Hawk, as I see him there. I think U.S. agent's there, but there's a speech bubble over his head. Actually, there's a speech bubble, but then U.S. agent's like dodging his head away from it, so that's fun. Double page ad for Paradise Eve, the cinematic RPG. I want to say I maybe played once. And then we finally get to the reason. Almost all the team's founding members are here today, including Giant Man and the Wasp, and who has just become the latest team's reserve members. And now we get to the 5 panels that got me to buy or to maintain this comic in my collection. George Perez gets to draw the X-Men. And this is the 35th anniversary team, but Kitty's wearing her Excalibur uniform, the one with the big old shoulder pads. And I say this is one of his first times, but I don't know. He did the art for the Teen Titans X-Men crossover, which was amazing. No, I'm sorry. No, that was Walt Simonson. We would have, in an alternate dimension timeline, someone got the Marv Wolfman, George Perez X-Men versus, the Teen Titans and X-Men crossover, the sequel. But I remember saying this was George Perez's only time he's ever drew them, and someone corrected me on it. But now I'm like, when would that have been? So if you know, feel free to reach out, because I would love to remember which one it is. Anyways, so the X-Men are Gambit, Nightcrawler, Storm, her purple outfit, Wolverine, Rogue, Meryl, Kitty, no Lockheed I can see, and Colossus. And Kitty's like, give me a break. The X-Men debuted around the same time as the Avengers, but do we get a fuss over our anniversary? It is what we do that matters, Catcher, not how the press treats us. And the Avengers and the X-Men both have much to be proud of. And Meryl's like, and she has an awesome, like, wicked font that's, like, italicized, but, like, broken up. I guess, like, her bone powers is, like, bone speech. Besides, who cares? We're not in competition with them, are we? I should take a picture of this. So that, well, for content, but also so we can share this. And then Kitty goes, oh, and she points to someone dressed, like, coloring themselves all blue, like Tobias from Arrested Development. And he says, Beast Boy, born to be an Avenger. And Kurt goes, what? The Beast? And Wolverine says, forget it, bub. He's ours. And then we cut back to the narrator. But not all of the founding members have been so lucky. The Incredible Hulk recently pardoned for his indestructible acts by the government is once again hunted and hounded. And he's trying to figure out who killed his wife, Betty. See current issues Incredible Hulk for details, Tom. And spoilers, but I'm pretty sure it was Abomination that killed her. But didn't really kill her. She was just in deep sleep. And even current Avengers are absent today. Reports have reached us that Hawkeye, long one of the team's mainstays, has left the roster on a special mission. And Hawkeye is one of Busiek's favorite characters. Why is Havoc meeting with the commissioner? See Thunderbolts 20-21 to find out. Busiek is just trying to give you a little time capsule where the Marvel Universe was. And then we cut to Wanda, who is going to Whisper Hill, the home of Agatha Harkness. And this is during her... Oh, yeah. And one of George Perez's mission statements was get her more in tune with her Romanian way heritage. And so she opens the door and the black... Oh, now the X-Men are here. I think we can speed through this a little faster. And Agatha's cat, Ebony, jumps out at her. And she wants to see what Agatha can do about helping her powers. There's an ad here for Small Soldiers, the Kirsten Dunst movie. And Agatha's like, oh, I knew you were coming for your powers. I've been expecting your visit, not for some years, true, but the nature of it shines out from you like a beacon. Something has changed to you, happened to you, changed you. Tell me, child. Then Wanda begins, and Dave, wait, what was his name? Oh yeah, Tom Smith really uses red here for all the Scarlet Witch and pages. It was when Morgan Le Fay battled the Avengers. She kidnapped, and that was what started this new volume of Avengers. She kidnapped me and suffused me with her magic energies, and that's magic with a K C and a KAL, to use me as a bridge between her magic and the reality-shaping power of the Asgardian Twilight Sword. And after she was done with me, her power stayed within me, and I was able to use it to send out a call to reassemble the Avengers. And even after Morgan's defeat, it persisted. I was able to sense the distortion of the Squadron Supreme's natures when they were controlled by the Corruptor, and to tap into the power of the Earth itself to block the seismic power of Moses Magnum. All happening in Avengers Volume 3, 1, 2, 6, and 9. Is the ability to bring Simon Williams' Wonder Man back from the dead. Simon died months ago in the Battle of the Alien Kree, but somehow when I made that mystic call from Morgan's dungeon, I managed to, reach him somehow and bring him back. He said he was waiting between life and death. He couldn't or wouldn't say why. First manifested in issue 2 and every issue since, Tom. But once we made it back to the Avengers Mansion, Tony Stark and Hank Pym ran a battery of tests looking for a reason, and they were unable to find out how I could do this either. Still, I could, and more I've summoned him, the more disturbing it's grown. First, he only appeared when I called for him, and then he began to appear if I subconsciously wished him he was there. And most recently, he's manifested when I was unconscious, utterly unable to call him. And I was like, ugh, men of science. Such a mortal way to look at it. Like, it's just clearly due to magic. And then we get an ad, because this is 1998, for Pokemon Red and Blue, everyone, on the Game Boy. I thought I'd say Game Boy Color, but... Oh, no, just Game Boy Pocket, which I guess was smaller than the... Oh, no, it definitely was smaller than the previous Game Boy that was like a brick. I bought Pokemon Blue and Yellow, for that matter. And then we get back to the newscaster. And then there are the villains. The Avengers have gone up against a virtual who's who of the most powerful and dangerous beings that the universe has to offer. But none of them have been able to put the Avengers down for the count, except for Onslaught. And I don't even see Onslaught here, so that's disappointing. And I'm going to know even less of these characters. But there's the Game Master, there's the Supreme Intelligence, the guy with the box for legs, Man-Ape, an evil Black Knight, Morgan Le Fay, that robot that has all of the Avengers powers of Captain America, Thor, Hawkeye, Iron Man maybe? The green one. High Evolutionary, the Wrecking Crew, I see Dormammu, Absorbing Man, the Lady of Snake Powers, the Ringmaster in the Circus of Crime, Baron Zemo next to Daddy Zemo, Magneto, Doom, Dr. Doom that is, Taskmaster, Kang the Conqueror, the Imp fellow who's not Mr. Owl, but the other guy. Oh, Miracle Man. Oof, that was a horrible way to describe him. Loki, I think he will be given a bigger spot for all he did for the franchise. It's your Enchantress. It's the Masters of Evil. The Executioner, Grim Reaper, Ultron, Thanos, Eggman, or Egghead, the Ant-Man villain. Nowhere Near Kang is Immortus. Oh no, that's Mario Cool Man. Then who's this guy? I don't know. Captain Nefarious. No. Count Nefarious. The Weezer? Red Guardian? No, that's Wizard. And who's this guy? I don't know. I think Wonder Man squeezed in over here in a corner. There's a lot of smaller faces, but I don't recognize them. Instead, those foes have ended up in prison. And then we see Mr. Champion talking to one of his goons, and he's going to be a villain coming up. Fled into hiding. Oh, dear father, you celebrate and bask in the adulation of the masses. Enjoy it while you can, my flame progenitor. For the time for humans is coming to an end, and my time is dawning. And that's Ultron, because I could not do a robot voice. And that's going to be like probably one of the best Avengers stories of all time, Ultron Unlimited. Or possibly in some realm unimaginable to the human mind. And we see the Grim Reaper with signature scythe hand. Soon, my most hated enemy, soon. Then we see Daredevil narrating to himself as he sees the parade. My enhanced senses are picking up the smell of sweat and thousands of accelerated heartbeats. This crowd, they really love the Avengers. I wonder what it'd be like to be a member, to have that kind of approval. They asked once, but I was right to turn them down. Having a group around me would overwhelm my senses, swamp me with impressions, so it's best that Daredevil swings alone. But I still sometimes wonder. And so this is naturally before Marvel Knights is a thing. And when before Daredevil joined the Avengers himself. There's a double-page ad for Post cereal and the Rugrats movie coming at ya. Then Agatha starts telling Wanda her own business. The time has come, child. Perhaps too soon, but that cannot be helped. You must learn the true nature of your birth. My birth, but I already know. Silence. You know the pieces, but not the pattern. You know, for instance, that you were born a mutant with your twin Pietro, born on Wonago Mountain, and midwife by an evolved cow, which poor Bubba does not get name checked, but I'll name check you. Bubba, what secrets do you know? And that the mountain itself shone the night you were born. You learn years later that the light was a manifestation of a chaos demon, Chiton. Chthon? Chiton? Oh, that sounds a little better. Trapped in the depths of the mountain, imbued you with magical potential. Once again, magical with a CKAL. That he might use you as a host through which to one day escape his imprisonment. But you grew up ignorant of this and of your parentage as well, living as a child of the gypsy shaman Django Maximoff. Which I don't know, how does... And gypsy's not a great word choice here, but it was 98. But still, not great. You and your brother were happy. Wait, Django Maximoff? Then how does he become... How does Magneto get Maximoff as the last name? I don't know. But she's Wanda Maximoff, so adoptive parent. And you and he were born by circumstance from your adoptive father's side and cast into a world of your own, where you came to learn how humans can fear and hate. Even a half-grown mutant whose only crime was a lack of control over her terrible power. You were saved the day by your biological father, though neither of you knew of your blood relationship at the time. Magneto, the mutant master of magnetism. And Magneto, of course, is said in his classic font. But instead of purple or red, it's in this nice golden orange. Or I guess this golden. What you do not know, however, is that but for Chiton... Oh man, I already forgot how I pronounce it. You would have been merely an energy-wielding mutant like your father. Sort of like how Ilyana Rasputin magic would have just had teleporting abilities, but because they manifested while in a limbo, they have a whole dark magic element put to them. Instead, though you were linked to Chiton's power, to the violet chaos magic that lies at his essence. It was the energy, this mystic energy, that you yielded first as Magneto's vassal and then as an Avenger. That giant, you did it. Uh-oh. And there's a flashback to Quicksilver and Wanda fighting a robot. And though you wielded it completely unschooled manner, even barely directed, chaotic magic is no small thing. Probability ruptures, temporal shifts, sudden gusts of physical force. Your hexes brought disasters on your foes. When I encountered you, I tried to train you, to teach you an affinity for your natural abilities so you would be better prepared when the time came. And these scenes are from Avengers 47 and 133, Tom. And Wanda's like, so you're saying that I am wielding chaotic magic all along? Essentially hurling chaos grenades? And then, like, Agatha's like, chaos grenades is an inelegant metaphor, but in essence, that is correct. Like, she must just be like, we must have missed between the panels her rolling her eyes so hard. So your chaos grenades will still serve you in battle, but you can control your power, child. You can, and you will have to. We got a double page ad here for Joe Kubrick's World Cartooning, a series of correspondence courses in comic book art with his good sons Andy Kubrick and Adam Kubrick. Also hosting classes, not hosting, teaching classes. Then we cut to the Fantastic Four. Thing is very mad. He's like, yak, 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 yak. You all thought there was such hot air in all of Manhattan. But go ahead, folks. Make all the flashy show and noise you like. Just so you don't forget who was here first, namely the ever-loving blue-eyed Thing and his buddies in the Fantastic Four. And then the newscasters are leading up to how the parade hasn't really been to honor the living Avengers, but actually to remember the Avengers we've lost. And then Captain America starts a speech. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, councilmen, people of New York. You do us great honor, and it's not the living we come to honor today. Instead, it's, that light. And then Thing spits his... I'm trying to think. It just say shots, and he's drinking from a can, so I don't know what it would be. He's like, hey, Ray, Johnny, Susan, come quick. And then we get the bulletin. The bullpen bulletins with Stan's soapbox, which was a fun moment in time when he was answering questions. One of them was like, how come you don't draw comics? Wow, that sure is short and sweet. And so is my answer. It's because I want your mags to sell. If you ever see my artwork, Dave, well, be grateful you haven't. And that was Dave Snyder of East Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. Bob Stinson of Austin, Texas writes, PD designed the costume with TV in mind because the bright colors, and since Aunt May was poor, Peter had learned to... He made her own clothes. He used old shirts and scraps of material she had... What the... In an earlier soapbox, Devin Flory asked how young Peter Parker managed to make his Spider-Man costume. In my usual cowardly way, I dropped an answering and offered a no prize in the first reply, so I wouldn't have to strain my brain. Sure enough, Bob Stinson of Austin, Texas, generously did the work for me. Take it away, Bob. Petey designed the costume with TV in mind, and hence the bright colors. And since Aunt May was poor, Peter had learned to sew by watching her make her own clothes. He used old shirts and scraps of material she had lying around. And then Amelia Rapp of Townsend, Pennsylvania asks, I think that her poem is so out there it's kind of embarrassing to me. Read on, you will see why. I think that I shall never be as clever as Stan Lee. He's a pip, he's a card, he's worked so hard to bring us no prizes and lots of surprises. How can he repay the joy he brings our way? Give him a huge raise in pay and a no prize every day. Oof. I'm having a bit of a Charlie horse in my right foot. Anyways, and just room for a query from Raymond Lumig of Cotabato City, Philippines. What does X-Men actually stand for? It means mucho dinero to Marvel, Ray. But seriously, it can stand for Xavier's team or mutants with an extra power. You pays your money and you takes your choice. Stanley. And then the titles on sale for October 7th. Blade issue 3 of 6, Cable 62. Since this is mostly an X-Men podcast, we'll read this. Nick Fury returns. Now the head of S.H.I.E.L.D. must form an uneasy alliance with Cable to combat the techno-organic infected nemesis droids. Plus Joe Cable versus Agent 18, the final showdown by Joe Casey and Ladrin, which, when asked my favorite Cable creative team, it would definitely be Joe Casey and Ladrin. Like, the art on that was superb. Captain America Sentinel of Liberty 4, Daredevil 2. Oh yeah, this is the Kevin Smith Joe Quesada, which if you ever find that Daredevil motion comic, I highly recommend it, as it just sounds like a Kevin Smith penned Daredevil movie. Plus the artwork of Joe Quesada and Jamie Periotti is pretty amazing as well. Dee Dee's Dilemma. He's entrusted with the care of a child who will one day destroy the world. As long as the child lives, everything and everyone in Hornhead's life will be ruined. It's a babysitting nightmare by Kevin Smith and Joe Quesada. Deadpool Mission Improbable trade paperback. Representing the first 5 frantic issues of Deadpool, starring The Merc with the Mouth by Joe Kelly and Ed McGuinness. Deadpool Team Up starring Widow Wade, which that's a fun comic. You knew there had to be an evil twin story eventually. Here it is. Wade confronts his super deformed loose cannon of a Psycho clone by James Fielder and Pete Woods. Fantastic Four number 12. Fantastic Four versus themselves is the final showdown with the Crucible, the man who stole Reed Richards' mind by Chris Claremont and Salvador Larroca. Such a fun Fantastic Four run by Chris Claremont. He was going to use Kitty Pryde as a member to be like Franklin's nanny, but he was told he couldn't do that. Because imagine when he pitched it, it was right between the Excalibur ending and the 35th anniversary team coming, so she was a little preoccupied being a proper hero. Kazar 20. Oh yeah, this is 1998, and I should say 1997 was one of the best years for new Marvel comics. Like, I was like, I don't know, it was probably the one time I had expanded my interest as far out across all the number ones. Which is why I try never to be too hard on Marvel with their constantly trying to, new number ones are always money makers. But 97 gave us Quicksilver, it gave us Heroes for Hire, it gave us Alpha Flight Volume 2, or Volume, I don't know, the 97 volume. Heroes for Hire, Quicksilver, and then just a slew of, ongoing titles. But those 3, I always think of like, how amazing were those? Let's see here. Rampaging Hulk 5, Spider-Man Chapter 1, Issue 1 by John Byrne. Oh, Spider-Man Identity Crisis. Oh yeah, I was deep into my love for Spider-Man too. Reprinting the stories where Spidey took on the 4 new superpowered identities: Dusk, Ricochet, Prodigy, and the Hornet by Various. The Supernaturals, 1 of 4, because this is October after all. Brother Voodoo gathers 5 supernatural heroes to combat dark forces: Ghost Rider, Werewolf by Night, Santana, Black Cat, and the Gargoyle, which I bought this for Black Cat and was like, this isn't Black Cat. And by Brian Pulido, Mark Andrico, and Ivan Reyes. Thor issue 6. Thor versus Hercules. When these two titans clash, it'll be a battle to make Mount Olympus tremble by Dan Jurgens, John Romita Jr. Uncanny X-Men 3, and Dan Jurgens, of course, is legendary Superman writer, so it was fun seeing him on Thor. 2 characters who I always like more in their team environments than solo work, but they both have solid solo titles. Uncanny X-Men 362, The Hunt for Xavier begins here. If the X-Men can't find their missing mentor, it could mean the end of everything, plus more developments between Gambit and Rogue by Steve T. Siegel and Chris Pacello. X-Men 45. The tantalizing prelude to the X-Men Cable crossover. Who's the mystery man who has been observing and testing Nick Grave for the last few months? The answer will startle you by Terry Cavanaugh and Mark Palario. Terry Cavanaugh, legendary Excalibur editor. X-Men the Manga 17. Cable and Angel are in deadly race with Apocalypse to find Dr. Adler, a scientist who has been turning mutants back into humans, by Yukikaze Amagi. And I've looked through every issue of like X-Men manga to see if Kitty Pryde showed up at least once or a reference, and she never did. But Marvel did release a X-Men manga standalone book a couple years ago, and I own that. And that's very Kitty Pryde focused. And so we get back to the comic. And take a look at this. Enough! And we see Grim Reaper has arrived. No more platitudes, no more self-serving, empty tributes to those you've murdered and forgotten. Too long have you killed, callously, cruelty. Too long, it's time for your past to catch up to you, for you to pay the price. And he shoots 7 bolts. And Captain America says, everyone fan out, protect the mayor, encourage evacuation. This doesn't have to be a battle, Reaper. We've beaten you every time you faced us in the past, but if you got a problem, the Avengers always stand ready to help, even you. Ha! Your help worse than nothing, Avengers. I have no intention of fighting you myself. Meet your accusers, killers. And then we see he has brought back from the dead Captain Marvel, Dr. Druid, Hellcat, Mockingbird, which Mockingbird will die here, and then Hawkeye will literally go into hell to rescue her because there was some type of curse on her soul. Swordsman, Thunderstrike. And Wasp was like, they're all... And Cap's like, he's not finished, Wasp. There were 7 bolts. There's one more. And one you had thought has returned to you. You who has used the weapon and gave not a moment's more thought to. Wonder Man, who of course is his brother. And Simon's like, all right, Avengers, let's get this party started. And this is during his iconic, or his ionic phase, where he's all purple with big old red W across his chest. And so they're fighting. Captain Marvel is blasting at Iron Man, who's blasting back. He's like, we care about these folks, but why isn't he dead himself? Lord, I hate magic. And Hellcat's fighting Firestar, commenting about how the Avengers are always giving up their young ladies. Wonder Man's uppercuts Giant Man. Mockingbird fights Justice. Dr. Druid's fighting Wasp because he blames her for he died on her watch and then never defended her or defended him. Thor fights Thunderstrike, which makes sense. Thor's like, thou art a better man than this, Eric. Thunderstrike, thou didst earn a place in Valhalla, even if thou didst refuse it. Why don't thou serve a villain now? And Thunderstrike's like, I took your place, Thor. Your place. You should have died, not me. Then Swordsman fights Cap, who has his energy shield, which is fun. And Cap thinks to himself, like, oh, this is the first Swordsman. I hope it was a trick, but Reapers brought back our honored dead, our fallen. We can't fight them. Which you think they'd be dead, so it's like zombie rolls. Like, yeah, just put them down. Like, aim for their heads. And Vision talks to Grim Reaper. Explain yourself, Eric Willems. What is it you seek here? You hated the Avengers for your brother's death and hated me for having Simon's brain patterns as part of my symphozoid mind. But you put that behind you before you died. Before we all died, wouldn't you say? Simon's a ghost. I'm something worse than you. You're nothing more than a jumbled up multimedia display these days, aren't you? What is it you seek here, Eric? Will... Oh, shut up. And he breaks the hologram projector. That's better. As for what I want, you can see and wait and see along with the whole world. We get an ad for, and I love the 98 ads, where you get like a big panel and some like words up top. But it's Spider-Man by John Byrne brings a new spin to the web spinner. Power and Responsibility. Spider-Man Chapter 1, Issue 1, written and drawn by John Byrne. 13 issues on sale beginning October 7th. And it's supposed to be a rewriting of like the first year of Spider-Man comics, right? Modernizing their tales, and the origin doesn't go anywhere except for Kevin Smith trying to play nice with the rest of the Marvel office. Makes a reference to it for Mysterio. And that's it. It goes away from there. Dr. Druid eye blasts his Wasp, or mind blasts her. She goes down and he takes out Justice. And then Captain Marvel takes out Iron Man. Thunder strike Thor's hammer at his own hammer at Thor. Wonder Man continues to pummel Giant Man. Cap's trying to fight off Swordsman while Hellcat's trying to dodge Firestar. Which I like how it says Captain America and Firestar fighting for their best. There's a giant dome going up around the Avengers, pushing all the civilians back away from the fight, which is thoughtful. And we kept back to Agatha. You're laughing. Oh no, Wanda going, you're laughing, Agatha, but why? I'm sorry, child. It never occurred to me that you asked us a simple question. But how do you not know how you bring Simon to life? You are his anchor to the living world because he loves you more than life itself, and that love has kept him from passing on. And thus, all you have to do to rescue him, to bring him back permanently, is to return that love. You mean all I have to do is love him back? You see Wonder Man just like full evil. At last, the Avengers have fallen. Next, hell on Earth. Avengers Assemble. Hey gang, not much space this month because the column of hype on the right, because every year they had to print the U.S. Postal Service Statement of Ownership, Management, and Circulation required by 39 USC 3685. It's a bunch of legal stuff detailing the second-class mail and subscription. Read it if you want to. Otherwise, let's use the space you've got for your letters. Up first, a letter to you. To the fans of the Avengers, written by Kevin Benningfield, who provides his email address, which I'd be curious to see if that's active still. Michael McClellan from Hollywood, California, gets the other letter. Next issue, Earth's Mightiest Corpse. Happy Halloween. And the back cover adds for Stiff with a Vengeance. Hard Jeans by Levi's. And the back cover is Sarah Gellar with her Got Milk ad. That's a very popular time. Revealing outfits in the undead. What else can't most young guys get enough of? Calcium. There's a mouth-watering solution, milk. It can help provide the calcium growing bones need to stay strong. A real must, especially if you plan on sticking your neck out. And that, everyone, was Avengers, the 1998 volume, issue 10. And thank you so much for listening. And you can follow the blog at shoutandflameofmagic.com. You can follow me on YouTube and Twitter at JackalSIII. Just uploaded a match item shop video tonight on Fortnite. And Wednesday I'm going to post another video in the X-Men plushie series. And I got a draft for next week's episode that I'm working on that I think is going to be pretty fun. You can follow the podcast on Twitter and Instagram at SNFWM. You can follow me on Instagram too, but it's mostly just what you see from the podcast Instagram page. And if you will give a like and subscribe to the podcast and a 5-star rating, that really helps us stay present on the apps. And thank you again for listening, and we will see you next week. All right, everyone. Bye.